Hello, welcome to the resume overview for the Functional Restoration Program, part of the Vocational Resources. At the end of this presentation, you should be able to define what resumes and cover letters are, identifying different parts of the resume, identifying what should be included in the resume, and see different examples. To begin, we'll start with introductions. I'm Yami. I'm a certified personal trainer and certified nutrition coach working here in the Sacramento clinic. This video is for any participant in the Functional Restoration Program attending the Vocational Resources class. The information that is shared today is to aid you and help while you are part of the program. While the information might not fit everyone's situation, it should be adjusted to your special circumstances. And we have a quick disclaimer that I am not a vocational rehabilitation specialist or an attorney. The information is general, so while I'm presenting at my level of expertise, you should always check with your attorney to see how this information applies to your case. And for any instructors listening, please feel free to pause throughout this presentation, maybe between slides changing, to allow participants to ask questions and discuss the material. So let's get started. For a resume overview, we first have to be able to understand what it is. So a resume is a formal document that summarizes your professional qualifications for different jobs. Think of a resume as a short and sweet written speech or document that introduces yourself to someone. Because of this, you want to capture your listener's attention, which would be the company or the hiring manager. You want to be able to communicate your skills and achievements and goals to these people. And a resume is a good way to boost yourself, to advertise how your skill set is able to benefit the company. And fun fact, 68% of recruiters take less than 2 minutes to review your application. So because of this, we really want to make sure our resume stands out and is clearly communicating what we can offer. So a question some of you might have is, how many resumes should you have? While there's no specific number on how many resumes a person should have, there is an understanding that you want to tailor your resume to each job field. So you might have to have several resumes depending on what different fields or areas you want to apply to. This can include like hospitality, customer service, construction, law enforcement. These different fields would have different qualifications, so you might have to have different resumes depending on where you want to apply. So let's take a look at the resumes and identify each part that we'll need to include. To begin is the personal information. This is typically at the top, ready to catch the reader's attention so they clearly know who they are reviewing. So we can see at the top of the slide, the person we're looking at is Kimberly. It is bold, it's big, and we can easily identify it. When you're looking at the very beginning, there's more information that should be included besides the name. Other helpful information is a title. This title is software engineer and can sometimes be helpful, especially if your previous title really closely correlates to the one that you're applying to. Other important information is contact information. This can include email or a phone number, as well as the city and state that you're applying to. In regards to this part of the information, make sure your email is appropriate. You are sending this to different hiring managers, and we wouldn't want an email to have inappropriate names or words, so we want to keep it professional. And a phone number, this would be a great way for hiring managers to contact you to move forward in the application or recruiting process, and make sure that this number is able to receive voicemails in case you don't answer. And for address, try to only have your city and state. Putting your full address can expose you for unwanted packages or unwanted mail, so just the city and state will suffice and also there to protect you. And for the number 5, we have social media. This can include professional websites like LinkedIn, where it's another resource to showcase your skill sets to the companies and hiring managers. So we have your name, email, phone number, address, and social media. So we want to put our best foot forward. After your personal information will follow your summary. The summary is a quick recap of what are your achievements, your knowledge, and the valuable skills that you bring. This summary should be very short, between 1 to 2 sentences, and can help the recruiter or the hiring manager to see what kind of candidate you are and whether or not you have the right qualifications for this specific role. Again, we're keeping this short. We're placing it at the top right after your personal information. And this is, again, to highlight your qualifications. And the objective of this is to focus on your goals and desires. Here are some examples of how a resume summary can look. In this example, we have some key words or phrases that capture the audience attention. For example, we have dependable, excels, fast-paced, quickly, efficiently. These are key words that your reader will be looking for to see if you are the right person for the job. There are many more examples of these key words depending on the field that you're applying to. In this next section of the resume, we'll talk about the skills. Here we'll highlight the technical and the transferable skills. When listing your skill set, there are different types that we want to mention. For the first one is the technical skills, also called your hard skills. These are skills that are measurable and usually acquired through formal education or training. And these are very job specific. So these hard skills, for example, in our resume looking at Kimberly, she's applying to the software engineer position. So it's important that she showcases what kind of programs she's familiar within software engineering. So you can see one of them is Python, very specific to the position. The other type of skills is transferable skills. These skills in the very beginning listed are interpersonal and subjective. These are typically less tangible and harder to quantify, but also equally important. These often involve emotional intelligence or social interactions, and usually developed over time. The reason why they're called transferable skills is that you're able to apply these wherever you go, and they're not job specific. You need to be reliable in almost any job that you're applying to, being able to communicate effectively, or working well with others. These are examples of transferable skills that apply to any position, and it's also important to list some of them so hiring managers are aware of what kind of employee you are. So here we have the different skills example. We have the technical skills on the left-hand side and the transferable skills on the right-hand side. And you can see how both of them differ. On the left-hand side for the technical skills, we have data analysis, graphic design, building skills, fire safety skills, and driving skills. These are different examples of how these are very job specific and will be tailored when you're writing your resume. The transferable skills can be applied wherever you are applying to. So you have to be a good communicator, you have to be dependable, be able to work in the team well, creativity, any interpersonal skills that can be beneficial is also important to list. And for the instructor in the class, if you want to pause here and come up with more examples within the class, feel free to do so. The next section of the resume that we'll go over is the work experience. Here we want to start with the most recent or most current job that we've held and then go backwards from there, up to 10 years. When you're listing your work, we want to include the company information, your title that you held, as well as the dates worked. You can put the month and the year from when you started to when you ended. If you're currently employed at the location, don't list when you ended, you can just put current. You can also list what you've accomplished while holding that position. You can put some of your job responsibilities or also any awards that you accomplished while under that title. When you're listing your jobs and there happens to be some gaps between your job experience or work experience, that's okay. We can talk about those later in your cover letter or during the interview if they ask. Here you want to focus on the skills and achievements when you're expanding on what you did in each position, and be bold and specific when you're listing what you've accomplished. Again, this is to highlight your accomplishments to your future job employers. So please write about what you've done, what you've managed to accomplish, and your different skills. So in this section of the work experience, again, using those key words that will help you stand out. If you were managing a team in a specific role, these are some keywords you can use. If you've accomplished any achievements, some other keywords that are available. And when you're writing these keywords, try to vary them. Try not to use the same one for each sentence, and also making sure that you're communicating in a short, concise way. Because again, we don't have that much space in our resume, so we want to make each word intentional. For the facilitators, again, feel free to pause here and let the class come up with their own terms that can be used. In this next section of your resume, we'll talk about the volunteer, certificates, and accomplishments that you may have and want to showcase on your resume. In this section, you can also include if you speak more than one language and your proficiency, any awards you have accomplished, and any education or certifications that you may have. Here will set you apart from other applicants. If you speak more than one language, you're able to communicate with a more diverse group of people. Any certifications or education will show your employer that you have that formal knowledge or formal training to accomplish the role. And for your awards, we want to keep the awards related to the position. If your awards was in high school or prom queen, that might not be as applicable when you're applying to jobs. So making sure your awards are related to the job that you're applying to. Now, if you don't have any formal training or formal schooling like college, that's okay. We want to then emphasize your work experience. This includes detailed job history and skills that you've acquired while working. This can highlight professional certifications that you've accomplished either through training courses, and when you include them, talk about what you've learned. This will help showcase your skills. And again, this can be either those hard skills or soft skills. You can also include any volunteer or internships that you've participated in. Whether or not you got paid for it, that is still experience that you can include if it is related to the job that you're applying for. I also want to highlight that in the skills or certifications, there are free resources or courses you can take through Google or through LinkedIn that again are free of charge, but still give you that extra certification to set you apart from other applicants. And these would be the online courses. Online courses can also be helpful to highlight even if you didn't get a degree. You still took those courses and learned out of it, so including them will be beneficial. So now we reviewed what those resume characteristics would contain. Now we're moving on to talk about the cover letter. Some job applications might require you to submit a resume and a cover letter. So let's talk about it. Cover letters are there to summarize what you have accomplished in your resume, but also to further explain any additional circumstances or information that you want to include. Also, the cover letter can be used to make that personal connection. Sometimes when you research your employer and find their missions and values, and highlighting those in your cover letter can be a great asset when you're applying. So your hiring manager or recruiter can see that you have done your research and that you align with the company's ideas. This can also show your enthusiasm for applying in the job. This is your first impression along with the resume and can really make a strong impact whether or not you move on in the decision-making process. All right, so we have some final tips and takeaways. When you're writing your resume and your cover letter, make sure you're using proper spelling and grammar, and these small details are very important and can make a big difference when a recruiter is deciding between two applicants. Also, only include relevant information. Again, these resumes and cover letters should be tailored to the specific job or employer. Consider using headlines or titles like professional photographer, and also pay attention to the length. Remember, we want to keep these documents between a page to 2 pages because the recruiters don't have that much time and we want to catch their attention with something short and to the point. So keep it simple, tailor it to your jobs, use those key words or the phrases that are used in the industry, proofread and get feedback, and update your resume frequently. As you get more experience or new jobs, updating your resume can help you along the process as you continue in your field. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you so much for watching. And again, feel free to rewind this video or pause in different slides if you have any questions. Thank you so much.